Today, I wanted to share my first week as a middle school science teacher. We were discussing the 8 characteristics of life, and so I wanted to start with an activating strategy to get my students to thinking about what makes something alive. We watched a video about puppies, and I have the link listed here, and it will also be in the description box. And as they watched the video, they really enjoyed it, and they will have to brainstorm ideas about why do you think these dogs are considered to be living things? We will create a list together as a class, and this would lead us into our discussion for today. We will go through each of the characteristics. They needed to know that all living things have cells and DNA, reproduce, grow and develop, use energy, have a need for resources and energy, respond to environment stimuli, maintain internal balance, homeostasis, and evolve over time as a species. Now, for the next part of the lesson, we would watch a short video about each of the characteristics and we would go into more detail. And students would take notes to keep in their interactive notebooks. For example, on this slide, it talked about cells, but we also went into more details about the terms like unicellular and multicellular and different types of cells. This video that I'm going to leave in the description box was really great because I felt that it gave students more background information on each of the 8 characteristics. Now, after we finished taking notes and we looked at items in the classroom and items that I had brought in, next, students were allowed to complete an activity on IXL. For me, this is a great independent activity. If you don't have this subscription, I think it would be great for all learners. But of course, if you just do not have IXL, bringing in your own items is a great idea too. Now, another resource that I used with students was the Amoeba Sisters, the Ed Puzzle lesson about the 8 characteristics of life. And after we finished watching the video, doing the sorting activity, I wanted students to apply their knowledge. So we completed the sewer lights experiment, and it's listed here. And the students had to determine, after reading the prompts and doing the experiment, if the sewer lights were alive or not alive. And one thing that really helped the students was this was a great, fun, and creative way to introduce the scientific method. I reminded students to ask a question, research the question, form a prediction, test your prediction, look at your results, decide whether the results support your prediction. If they don't, you may try asking your question a different way, changing your prediction, and making a new test. After we completed the sewer lives experiment, we went into more details about organisms and classifying them as living, non-living, and dead. I reminded students that in order for something to be living, it must have all 8 characteristics necessary to living things. Non-living means that it does not have all 8 characteristics necessary to living things. And dead or once living means that it used to have all 8 characteristics necessary to living things, but doesn't anymore. And again, we listed and gave examples. After we brainstormed for a few minutes, I gave students pictures, and they had to determine if these items were living, non-living, or dead. And they had to be able to use supporting evidence from the 8 characteristics of life. And our last activity for the week was we ended with an activity called Snotites in the Cambrian Mind. And if you look online, there are plenty of websites and videos that accompany this activity. It starts off with you are exploring a cave with a friend and you hear drip, drip, drip. And as we watched the video, students were kind of grossed out when they watched this not tight at first, but overall they really enjoyed the lesson. So again, I am a first year middle school teacher, and I just want to share my journey about our first week in life science, and links to videos and the helpful resources will be listed in the description box.